This is a federal report, published in 2003. It says a firefighter died because of improper risk assessment, a failure of incident command, and a breakdown in crew accountability. Now, this is a different federal report, published in 2022. It says a firefighter died because of improper risk assessment, a failure of incident command, and a breakdown in crew accountability. Same words, different year, different firefighter, different family destroyed. We said never forget. The federal reports prove we keep forgetting every single time. The burning oath is a channel built on one principle: fire doesn't lie. Politicians lie, press releases lie, memorial speeches lie. But the federal reports, the NIOSH investigations, the USFA findings, the after-action reviews, they tell you exactly what happened and exactly why. And what they tell you, when you read 20 years of them back to back, is going to make you angry. It should make you angry, because the men and women dying in these buildings deserve more than a plaque on a wall and a report that nobody reads. This is the burning oath. No dramatization, no spin, just the truth, and all of it. In 1998, Congress gave NIOSH money and a mandate: figure out why firefighters are dying.
Yes, Senator. Our preliminary
NIOSH went to work. They showed up at fire scenes. They read the reports. They interviewed survivors. And after years of this, after hundreds of investigations, 5 factors kept appearing. Not sometimes, not occasionally. Every single time a firefighter died on the fire ground, one or more of these 5 things had gone wrong. They called them the NIOSH Five. And if you know anything about the fire service, you already know what they are, because they haven't changed. Not in 25 years. Number 1 on the list: improper risk assessment. In plain language, somebody pulled up to a burning building and made the wrong call about what was happening inside. Maybe they didn't do a full 360-degree walk-around. Maybe they saw smoke from the front and never checked the back. Maybe they committed crews to interior operations without knowing whether the building could hold them. NIOSH Deputy Chief Vincent Dunn, 42 years FDNY, said it plainly: there are no new lessons to be learned from a firefighter's death. The cause is usually an old lesson we have not learned or have forgotten along the way. He said that. And firefighters are still dying from the same risk assessment failures he was writing about in the 1990s. Number 2, lack of incident command. The Incident Command System, ICS, exists for one reason: to put one person in charge of the information, the resources, and the risk on a fire ground. When ICS breaks down, you get freelancing. You get crews operating without anyone knowing where they are. You get a building that's about to collapse with firefighters inside it and nobody on the outside with a complete picture. NIOSH has cited ICS failure in firefighter LODDs from 1999 to 2023. Same finding, different dead firefighters.
This is what happens when incident command fails, reaching its tragic conclusion.
Number 3, lack of accountability. You need to know where every firefighter is at every moment inside a burning building. Not approximately, not probably the second floor. Exactly. Because when a mayday comes, and a mayday will come, the rapid intervention team needs to know where to go. They have minutes, sometimes less. A firefighter who is unaccounted for is a firefighter who cannot be found in time. NIOSH has written this down. After firefighter died unaccounted for. They keep writing it down. The firefighters keep dying unaccounted for. Number 4, inadequate communications. The radio is the lifeline on a fire ground. When it fails, when transmissions are missed, when channels are wrong, when the IC can't hear the interior crews, when firefighters are calling mayday and nobody on the outside receives it, people die. NIOSH investigated the death of New Haven firefighter Ricardo Torres Jr. It took 4 years. The finding, missed communication and command inexperience, contributed to his death. Ricardo Torres Jr. called for help. The system failed to hear him. That investigation closed in 2025. The first NIOSH report citing inadequate communications as a contributing factor was published in 1999. Number 5. lack of standard operating procedures, or failure to follow them. The fire service has developed, over a century of hard lessons, a body of standard operating procedures that exist for one reason: to keep firefighters alive. 2 in, 2 out. Rapid intervention teams, accountability systems, 360-degree size-up. Accountability check every 10 minutes. These are not suggestions. They are procedures written in the blood of firefighters who died so that the next firefighter wouldn't have to. And NIOSH keeps finding, report after report, year after year, that crews deviated from established SOPs, or that no SOPs existed at all. In 2025, Worcester, 1999, the first major test. December 3, 1999, Worcester, Massachusetts. A homeless couple knocked over a candle in the abandoned Worcester Cold Storage and Warehouse building. The two fled. The fire grew. Worcester firefighters responded. They went inside looking for possible victims because they didn't know the building was abandoned. The building was a maze. It had no windows. The interior was covered in 6 to 18 inches of insulating material, cork, polyurethane, polystyrene, that burned like rocket fuel. 6 firefighters went in. None of them came out. Lieutenant Thomas Spencer, firefighter Paul Brotherton, firefighter Timothy Jackson, firefighter Jeremiah Lucy, firefighter James Lyons, firefighter Joseph McGuirk, the Worcester 6. NIOSH investigated the Worcester fire and published their findings. The recommendations were specific: pre-incident planning for large, complex buildings, personnel accountability systems capable of tracking crews inside structures with no landmarks, radio communication testing in difficult buildings before committing crews, training for zero visibility navigation. The recommendations were published. They were circulated to fire departments across the country. And 8 years later, in Charleston, South Carolina, 9 more firefighters died from failures that overlapped directly with Worcester's findings. June 18, 2007, the Sofa Super Store. Charleston, South Carolina. A furniture store, 42,000 square feet of showroom, plus a warehouse behind it. No sprinkler system. The fire started in the loading dock. Within 40 minutes, 9 Charleston firefighters were dead. It was the deadliest firefighter disaster in the United States since September 11th. NIOSH investigated. The findings were familiar: inadequate size-up, failure to recognize the rapid fire progression indicators, lack of coordinated incident command, crews operating without adequate accountability. 8 years after Worcester, same findings, 9 more names. Here is the part that should make every firefighter in America put this video down and go read a NIOSH report. The Sofa Super Store fire in 2000.
This diagram shows a steel bowstring truss system. When exposed to fire, the gusset plates fail rapidly, leading to total collapse. The warnings existed, they were in print. Vincent Dunn, a veteran FDNY chief, spent his career writing about building construction and firefighter safety.
Continuing interior operations under a truss roof showing signs of fire involvement. FDN, why Deputy Chief Vincent Dunn had been warning about bowstring truss buildings since the 1980s. The warning was in print. The warning was in training programs. 9 firefighters in Charleston didn't make it home. One of the most significant changes in structural firefighting over the past 30 years has been the change in how fast buildings burn. Modern residential construction, lightweight engineered wood trusses, oriented strand board, synthetic materials, open floor plans, burns faster and collapses sooner than legacy construction. The Phoenix Fire Department conducted burn tests in 2000. A room in a house built with legacy construction reached flashover in approximately 29 minutes. A room in a house built with modern lightweight construction reached flashover in approximately 3.5 minutes, 8 times faster. NIOSH has been documenting deaths from rapid fire progression since the early 2000s. It is 2025. Before you put a single firefighter inside a burning building, you are supposed to do a size-up, a 360-degree walk around the structure. You are looking for the location and extent of the fire, the construction type, Signs of structural compromise, potential victims, exposure hazards, entry and exit points. This is not optional. This is the foundation of every tactical decision you will make for the next 30 minutes. NIOSH has cited inadequate size-up as a contributing factor in firefighter LODDs from 1999 to today. Not because firefighters don't know how to do a size-up, because something, urgency, culture, radio pressure, the impulse to act, keeps short-circuiting it. A mayday is the last resort. A firefighter calls mayday when they are in immediate danger, trapped, lost, running out of air. When a mayday goes out, everything on that fire ground stops and redirects toward rescue. The RIT deploys. The IC clears the channel. Every resource pivots. That is what is supposed to happen. NIOSH has investigated mayday situations where the call was never received. Dead radio zones, overlapping transmissions, wrong channels. It has investigated mayday situations where the call was received but the RIT was not staged. Mayday situations where the RIT existed on paper but had never trained for a live rescue. The firefighter called. The system failed. The firefighter died. Since 1998, NIOSH has published over 1,000 firefighter fatality investigation reports. Over 1,000. If you stack them, the pile is taller than a man. If you read them, and someone should read them, you find the same 5 contributing factors appearing in report after report after report. Improper risk assessment,
I read the NIOSH reports, the journals,
lack of incident command,
for 25
lack
years,
of
the same findings on firefighter safety.
inadequate communication.
So why does the fire service keep failing
failure
to learn?
follow SOPs?
It's not just say about our institutions.
These 5 things appear in firefighter LODDs from 1999 to 2024. The fire service has had these findings for a quarter century. And the question that this documentary will not let you avoid is this: why are we still dying from the same 5 things? The fire service has a culture problem, not a knowledge problem, not a resources problem, a culture problem. The findings are known, the recommendations are published, the training exists. And yet something in the culture of American firefighting, the heroic identity, the brotherhood mythology, the we've always done it this way tradition, the ceremonializing of deaths rather than preventing them, keeps producing the same outcomes. Researchers who have studied firefighter LODDs have identified fire service culture as the root cause, not incompetence, not negligence, culture, the way a profession sees itself and what it values. There is a well-documented phenomenon in the fire service called generational amnesia. The lessons of Worcester, the Worcester Six, were burned into the consciousness of a generation of firefighters in 1999. Those firefighters knew those names. They understood the failures. They changed their practices. And then they retired. And the next generation came in. And Worcester became a footnote, a name on a list somewhere, not a visceral operational lesson that changes behavior, a historical fact. This happens with every LODD event. The lesson is learned. The generation ages out. The lesson has to be learned again, with new names on new plaques. The Rapid Intervention Team, the RIT. The crew staged outside a burning structure, fully equipped, ready to go in and get a firefighter who has called Mayday. The RIT is mandatory under NFPA 1710. It is required, it is trained for, and NIOSH keeps finding in LODD after LODD that the RIT was not staged, or was staged but had never trained for a live rescue, or was deployed but couldn't locate the downed firefighter because accountability had broken down. The safety net that is supposed to catch firefighters keeps having holes in it when firefighters actually fall. In 2003, NIOSH investigated the death of a career firefighter in a structural collapse during a residential structure fire. The contributing factors: no formal risk assessment was conducted prior to interior operations. The incident command system was not fully established. Crew accountability was not maintained. The firefighter's location was unknown at the time of collapse. In 2022, NIOSH investigated the death of a career firefighter in a structural collapse during a residential structure fire in Missouri. The contributing factors. No formal risk assessment was conducted prior to interior operations. The incident command system was not fully established. Crew accountability was not maintained. The firefighters' location was unknown at the time of collapse. 2 firefighters, 19 years apart. 1 report. In 2021, a Maryland fire captain fell into a basement during a house fire. He died. NIOSH investigated. The findings: gaps in size-up, crew integrity failure, rapid intervention readiness was inadequate. The captain had been doing this job for years. His department had SOPs. They had training. And something in the urgency of a working fire, in the sequence of decisions that lead from arrival to tragedy, failed. NIOSH cited the same gaps they cited in 1999, the same gaps they will cite in the next report, because the same conditions keep producing the same outcomes. Personnel accountability is not complicated. You need to know who is inside the building, what crew they're with, what their assignment is, and approximately where they are. There are multiple systems to accomplish this: passport systems, electronic tracking, tactical worksheets. The technology ranges from low-tech to sophisticated. What NIOSH keeps finding is not a technology failure. It is a discipline failure. The board exists and nobody is updating it. The passport system is in use and there's 1 crew that didn't tag in. The electronic tracker is active and 1 unit signal is showing outside the building when they are actually inside. The gap between having a system and running the system is where firefighters die. There is a South Carolina Fire Department, not named here, that, following the Charleston Sofa Super Store fire in 2007, received the NIOSH report, attended the conferences, heard the lessons, and within 3 years had a firefighter death in a commercial structure with documented pre-incident planning failures and a size-up that did not account for the building's construction type. The NIOSH report on that death cited, among other findings, the same contributing factors identified in the Charleston investigation. The department received the lesson. The department did not apply the lesson. A firefighter died. The National Fire Protection Association, standard NFPA 1500, establishes minimum health and safety requirements for fire departments. It is a standard, not a law in most jurisdictions. A standard, a recommendation. And compliance is not universal. Across the United States, particularly in volunteer and smaller career departments, training hours fall below NFPA recommendations. RIT training is infrequent. Mayday drills are done once a year or less, and pre-incident planning is inconsistently executed. This is not a criticism of firefighters. These are firefighters doing an incredibly difficult job with inadequate resources. It is a criticism of a system that allows that to be acceptable. NIOSH makes recommendations, not mandates, recommendations. The Federal Investigation Program produces findings and publishes them and distributes them, and then the fire service is free to implement them or not. There is no federal enforcement mechanism for most NIOSH recommendations. OSHA has jurisdiction over some aspects of firefighter safety. The 2-in, 2-out rule comes from OSHA 29 CFR.
The IFF strongly supports mandatory implementation of safety standards, but the political complexity is clear. Tens of thousands of volunteer departments have varying resources. This policy gap underlies our operational challenges.
Departments can read them or ignore them. Some read them, some ignore them. And the firefighters in those departments don't know which kind of department they work for until the moment it matters. When a firefighter dies in the line of duty, the public sees the ceremony, the honor guard, the dress uniforms, the flag, the 1,000 firefighters from across the state who come to stand together and grieve together. What the public doesn't see is what happens in the weeks and months after the ceremony. The spouse who is suddenly a single parent. The kids who ask why daddy isn't coming home. The department that is simultaneously grieving and conducting an internal investigation and managing the politics of a public tragedy. And the firefighters who were there, who made the decisions that were made that day, carrying that weight for the rest of their careers. Pre-incident planning. It's not glamorous. It's not what people join the fire service to do. It's not a training video that goes viral. It's showing up at a commercial building on a Tuesday afternoon with a notepad and a TIC and walking through it and writing down the construction type and the water supply and the hazardous materials and the access points. It is paperwork, and it is the single most effective thing a fire department can do to prevent a firefighter from walking into a building they don't understand. Departments that do it rigorously have better outcomes. NIOSH knows this. The data is in the reports. The 360-degree size-up must become non-negotiable, not when we have time, not when the building allows. Every time, on every structure fire, before the first crew enters the building, the first-in officer does the 360. They transmit conditions from each side. They make the tactical decision based on all four sides of the building, not one. This discipline, this single discipline, would have prevented multiple firefighter deaths documented in NIOSH reports. It is not a new idea. It is not a difficult idea. It is an idea that keeps losing to the urgency of the moment. The urgency of the moment has killed firefighters. The 360 doesn't. Incident command is not bureaucracy. It is not paperwork. It is the system that makes sure one person knows where every crew is, what every crew is doing, and what the building is doing at every moment of the incident. A strong IC running a strong ICS is the difference between a manageable emergency and a mayday. The fire service understands this conceptually. NIOSH keeps finding that it is being executed improperly in the field. The training is there. The knowledge is there. The execution, under operational pressure, in the middle of a working fire, is where it breaks down. And where ICS breaks down, firefighters die. How often does your department train for Mayday? Not a classroom presentation, an actual evolution. Full gear, smoke, a confined space, accountability engaged, RIT deployed, the whole scenario. If your department does this quarterly, you are ahead of most. If your department does this monthly, you are in an elite category. If your department has not done a full Mayday evolution in the past year, and your firefighters go into burning buildings, there is a gap between their training and what they may need to survive. NIOSH has documented RIT failures in LODD after LODD. The RIT failed because it hadn't trained. The training is the answer. The training is not happening. We are going to read you some NIOSH report language. Not paraphrased, not summarized. The actual federal findings from actual investigations. Listen to the year at the end of each one. The incident commander did not conduct a 360-degree size-up of the structure prior to committing crews to interior operations. 2001. A formal personnel accountability system was not in place at the time of the incident. 2004. The rapid intervention team was not established prior to interior crews entering the structure. 2007. Inadequate communications, including radio dead zones, contributed to the firefighters' inability to call for assistance. 2011. No formal risk assessment was conducted prior to committing crews to interior operations. 2018. The incident command system was not established in a timely manner, and crew accountability was not maintained. 2022. Do you notice anything? Every year, the USFA publishes the annual firefighter fatality count. And every year, at fire service conferences and in fire service publications, people talk about the trend. The number has been declining over time, from over 100 per year in the early 2000s to approximately 50 to 70 in recent years, excluding major events. The trend is real, and it represents real progress. It is also not good enough, because the standard that the fire service should be holding itself to is not fewer deaths than last decade. The standard should be every firefighter who goes to work comes home. That standard exists in other high-hazard industries. It can exist in the fire service. It requires treating the NIOSH findings as operational mandates, not background reading. Every firefighter takes an oath. The specific language varies, but the commitment is the same: to protect life and property, to do the job with skill and with courage. The fire service takes that oath seriously. What this documentary is asking is whether the fire service takes the other side of the oath as seriously. The obligation of leaders to send firefighters into danger with every possible advantage. The training, the equipment, the information, the SOPs, the incident command, the accountability, the RIT, the pre-incident planning, not the oath to fight the fire, the oath to fight it smart.
Were they applied, learned, embedded, not filed and forgotten?
We mentioned earlier that NIOSH was shut down in early 2025. 3 final reports were released on that day. One of them was Report 2021-20. An Illinois career firefighter found unresponsive at a residential structure fire who died 5 days later. The findings of that report, the last findings that the NIOSH Firefighter Fatality Investigation Program would formally publish, were the findings you have heard throughout this documentary. The program that was meant to break the cycle, shut down while the cycle continues. The question of who does this work now, who investigates, who documents, who publishes the findings that should prevent the next death, is a question the fire service needs to demand an answer to. Before we close, we are going to say some names. Not all of them. There are over 1,000 in the NIOSH database, and they all deserve to be said. But some of them, the Worcester 6, the 9 in Charleston, the 5 in Hackensack, the 4 at the South Canyon Fire, the 6 at the Yarnell Hill Fire, who died in different circumstances but from the same root failure, risk assessment that didn't account for what the conditions could become. Every one of these deaths produced a federal investigation. Every one of those investigations produced findings and recommendations. Every one of those findings has a corresponding finding in a more recent report. These names matter. The reports written in their name matter. The question is whether the reports and the names matter enough to change what happens next. The burning oath was built for this. Not for the easy stories, not for the heroic narratives that the fire service tells about itself. Those stories are true, and they matter, and we tell them too. But also for this, the hard accounting, the federal record of what goes wrong, the pattern that 25 years of reports have documented with painful clarity, the gap between what we know and what we do. The fire service is one of the most important institutions in American life. The men and women who serve in it are doing one of the most difficult and most honorable jobs that exists. They deserve the full truth. They deserve departments that have read the reports. They deserve to come home. We don't know the name of the next firefighter who will die in a structural collapse from a failure of risk assessment and incident command and accountability. We don't know what department they serve, what state they work in, what their family looks like. We know this. Their death will be investigated. NIOSH, or its successor, or a state program, or the USFA, will show up. They will interview witnesses. They will review radio logs. They will analyze the building, and they will publish findings. And the findings will be the same 5 things, unless something changes. Unless a chief somewhere reads this documentary and reads the reports and runs the drills and changes the culture. Unless the next firefighter goes home because someone decided that the pattern was unacceptable. That firefighter doesn't have a name yet. They're alive right now. They're in a firehouse somewhere. And what happens to them depends on decisions being made today. The burning oath exists because fire doesn't lie. The NIOSH reports don't lie. The pattern they document, 25 years of the same 5 findings, does not lie. The fire service says, never forget. The reports prove we keep forgetting. Not because firefighters don't care, not because chiefs don't care, because institutional learning is hard and culture is resistant and urgency overrides discipline and heroism is celebrated more than prevention. But the math is simple. The NIOSH findings are the recipe for a firefighter's death. The inverse of those findings is the recipe for a firefighter's survival. Read the reports. Change the training, change the culture, break the pattern. The reports have been telling you how for 25 years. The burning oath will keep telling you until you do. Subscribe, share this, make someone read a NIOSH report today. That is the oath.